Oh, what's going on, guys? Duelim here, back again with another video, and today we've got a special guest in Run 7, and we're going to be talking about how 5 ways that Envoys cheat. That's right, we're peeling back the curtain, aren't we, Run 7?
That's right. Bunch of dirty cheaters.
Dirty cheaters we are indeed. But the first topic is going to be something that's pretty interesting, and something I hear a lot is that Envoys cheat by having access to the test server and being able to test things before they go live. And then we have an unfair advantage because we know all the counters, we know what's going to work, all that good stuff. So Run, let me get your thoughts on that topic specifically.
That's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. We get to test out the Crucible, and we get to find out what works before anybody else does. And then we tell everybody else before Crucible even goes live so that they can do the exact same things that we do. The only difference is the test server is usually broken or different from the live server, and so none of it works for anybody.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
We get to go in and we get to test these and we get to get a feel for the match. The only problem is that I would honestly say that 75% of the time the match plays differently in the live server than it does on the test server. And so that information is somewhat useless to us because the things that we thought were going to work suddenly don't. Case in point, the Cabal team, when they spawn, vulnerables and the Superior 6 and whatnot, is a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. So I completely agree with you. I think for a baseline, we do have an advantage, right? We do, because we test things and we can test it decently rigorously. It's a little bit different for Cosmic Crucible because we are tied to the confines of a trial as well. And if the trial gets set up correctly and if somebody actually puts a defense, so a lot of the times we're facing hand minions and we can't test anything. But yes, we do have an unfair advantage. But you know what? We also make videos on it and tell you that advantage that we have. We give you all that information. I've been touting Spider Society is absolutely terrible on defense in Room 2, and they still haven't come out yet. We've told you a lot of the counters that I did the video with Updog, all that kind of stuff. Like, we tested things to be able to tell you guys. And a lot of the times, too, we're finding bugs that you guys never see. We had in room number 4, there was a bug because originally it was only supposed to be city villains, and it was doing it for all villains. So they changed the room entirely to just be villains because that's the way it was working. Room number 1, if you had Raider on a character, it was not removing the ability block on your turn as well. We found that as well. So we're finding issues, and I get a lot of people are like, oh, well, you're just finding issues, good, but your advantage is still unfair. I'm like, yeah, it is a little unfair, but I think the benefit from finding those issues kind of outweighs the negative of us having this unfair advantage that we're still sharing with you guys. We're telling you guys how things work. We're showing you guys footage the second we can, based on embargoes and stuff like that. But I don't feel like we have an unfair advantage to the point where it's like, oh, they're just going to win Cosmic Crucible for 7 weeks in a row. That's it. It's over. They're going to all be in the top 200. That's not how it works. You got to back it up with your wallet, but you also have to back it up with having a clever defense, changing as time goes on and as defenses progress and the weeks go on. So I agree with you. We do have an advantage, but I don't think it's to the extent that people think, because I don't think we can test as much as people understand.
And not to mention, we'll come up with some interesting ideas from the test server, but inevitably, 2 days into Crucible, those ideas are old and stale, and we're on to stuff that the community has figured out. So all of the ideas that are figured out in Crucible are given to the community before it goes live, and they have as much information as we do. There is no one who is testing something and keeping that idea a secret. That's just not happening on the test server. There are no ideas that are kept secret. Content creators get paid by bringing good ideas that get clicks in a video. And so if they have a good idea, they are putting it out there immediately.
Yeah, and that brings us to our next point is we're willingly withholding information such as counters that we're not sharing everything on when it comes to Cosmic Crucible or War or things that we test. And personally, I can't speak for everybody, right? Because that's a case-by-case basis. If somebody is doing that, I can't say that they are or are not. I know personally for me, I'm not having conversations with somebody behind the scenes saying, oh, this counter works awesome. Don't tell anybody. I want to save this so we can win our Cosmic Crucibles or our wars or whatever it is. I know a lot of people have said there's colluding at the top ends of war, blah, 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 whatever. I don't get involved with that. I'm not a top end war player, but I can assure you there's no colluding in the envoys of like, hey, Run, guess what? Room number 6, this works really good here. Put this here. Don't tell anybody why it's working. Just let it ride. See if they can figure it out. That doesn't happen.
If anything, content creators are not telling other content creators about good ideas so that they are the ones who have it in their video.
Yep, correct.
But it's like anything in life. You follow the money. And a good idea in a video makes money for the content creator. That's what they're going for. They do not want to withhold information. They would rather get a video that gets up 2,000 to 10,000 clicks than have a good round in Crucible. They don't care. I mean, they're going to use their good idea in Crucible either way. They might as well make money off of the video and use it in Crucible to showcase how it works in the live server.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's most of the time what happens with stuff like with Dorky Dad when he was testing Scourges and being able to give us information a little bit ahead of time, be like, hey, these minions are way better. Don't take up shield minions like I did. This kind of stuff. It's mostly to benefit the community. We're not doing it for our own personal gain, you know? But yeah, I agree. I definitely feel like we're not withholding information. And like you said, people don't withhold information because most of them, this is an income for them. They give that information as soon as possible because, again, it gets those clicks, it gets those likes, it gets their income higher. So I don't feel like people do it at all either, but obviously people are going to think what they think. All right, for the next topic, we're going to be talking about how envoys have an unfair advantage of saving or hoarding resources because we know teams are coming ahead of time. I have my thoughts on this, but Run, I want to see your thoughts on this. And obviously we have Spider Society shown up here because a lot of people said, oh, nobody was investing in Invaders the second you guys knew Spider Society was coming out because you knew a replacement was coming before a lot of people were speculating. So what can you say about this one?
Yeah, absolutely. I did not invest in my Invaders from the moment I heard about Spider Society. I didn't invest at all in them. In fact, I didn't invest in my Invaders for about almost a month and a half before I heard about Spider Society. Why? Because Invaders suck. Nobody's investing in Invaders unless your alliance was pushing you to go 100%. And if they were, then you had to invest in the Invaders anyways, so it really didn't matter. Like, we get notification about these teams about a week in advance of the community, sometimes as early as 2 weeks. And in the event of the summit, we got really advanced information about the Sinister Six team. However, from the summit on the Sinister Six, we didn't know what their materials were or anything. We just knew this team was coming. So yeah, we can stop working on one thing and save up for these characters, but it didn't change what I was already doing. I think the only advantage people really had was if you were trying to somehow skip the hive mind for raids and you wanted to implement some of the bio characters from this team and replace the hive mind, then maybe you could do that. But hive mind's pretty good in War and Crucible, and you don't really want to skip them anyways. But I guess that's a fringe case that maybe we could have implemented, but I still wanted to build my hive mind, even knowing that these guys could potentially sub in 3/5 of them for hive mind characters, but that didn't really happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel kind of the same way with Invaders. We don't push you and me are in the same alliance. For those of you who don't know, me and Run, we don't push raids like super hard. We're not doing skill 100% every day, and the people that were already doing skill 100% every day already had 2.6 million Invaders. This wasn't changing. And before the community found out about Spider Society, we knew, I think, 8 days before in a call. And we didn't know about their uniques. We didn't know about that the gear was... We knew that they were dual origin, but we didn't know how the gear was going to get split or anything like that until like 3 days before the announcement when we all showed everybody anyway. And then...
What are you going to save for these characters other than gold? You don't know what pieces are where. Yep. I mean, I guess you could work on some bio gear, I guess. you could save some gold. But here's the thing, like my strategy is to always make sure I have 22 to 28 million gold banked for every new character that's going to unlock. And then after I build past that up to 30 and 35 million, then I spend that gold on my luxury builds and stuff like that. So knowing about this team in advance, so what? There's always new characters coming to Marvel Strike. There's like a new character every week that comes to Marvel Strike Force.
And that's the other argument I hear is, oh, you'll be able to save gold. You'll be able to save some resources, stuff like that. Okay, if I save resources, then guess what? I'm putting whatever team I was working on right now on hold. So I'm at a disadvantage right now to get a little bit ahead later because I'm going to be 2 days ahead of you on building Spider Society. Okay, it's not substantial enough.
Like what when we get data mined information that a team is coming to Marvel Strike Force, people are like, oh wow, what does that change for you? It doesn't change anything for me. I don't do anything different. Like this team is going to replace the invaders for skill raids. But I'd already stopped investing in that team a long time ago because it was garbage and we saw it required a ridiculous investment to play through at the high end. And I know there's going to be somebody in the comments that says, hey, look at this hybrid. I can one-shot all with the invaders and this person in here, whatever. That's fine. You go ahead and have your super nifty, expensive luxury built hybrid team. I'm just going to wait for the thing that Scopely wants me to build because we all know that agency in raids is a total lie. Now with spotlights, they're not even hiding it anymore. You're just going to build the team that's tagged for and whatever. At least it's new content. Knowing what's coming next doesn't change what I do anyways.
All right, and next up on this topic list is going to be we, as Envoys, get paid in-game resources to speak good about the game. So I have plenty of thoughts on this one. Run, please take it away.
Look at my roster, guys. Do you think they're giving me cores or ultra cores? Come on. Come on. If I was getting in-game resources, I'd have a bigger roster than what I do now. I'm like 60 million TCP. For a player who's been here nearly 6 years, that is not a big roster at all. We don't get paid anything. We get a spotlight video once every 6 months if we're lucky. And we're working on them pushing some promotional codes to help boost our numbers. Envoys are some of the most cynical people of Scopely in the first place. If Scopely were to pay me ultra cores, I'd be singing a different tune. Okay? I'll say whatever they want if they're gonna give me something of real value. I mean, I have a price, it's not coming cheap, but if they were gonna give me some of their blue sky for free, then I'd probably say, yeah, spotlight raids are freaking amazing. This is the best thing since bread came buttered. I mean, it's just not happening, and there's so much obvious data out there showing that it's not happening. I can't believe people still say this.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked at this one too because I've seen it a couple times in Twitch chats before. Obviously, I frequent Twitch chats pretty regularly, and people saying this, I'm just like, have you noticed people getting power cores that like Envoys that are free to play getting, you know, ultra cores? Or have you noticed someone go from like right now I have 17,000 power cores, but that's I buy the passes. And I'm also top 5 in arena every single day. Like I make sure I'm top 5 because power cores are the lifeblood of the game, you know? But it's just interesting that they say these like tinfoil hat theories with no evidence to back it up, especially when most of the content people put on YouTube is negative. That's what gets the clicks, is when we're screaming at the camera saying, Scopely, you guys are stupid. You don't know what you're saying. Super Scroll is the most broken tune ever. How could you do this? Mephisto's breaking the game. Whatever it is, I don't get where this narrative has come from, or if it's just somebody that just went, I wonder if this is how this works. It's not. I wish. It would be kind of cool because I know other games do pay their content creators for making videos and paying them based on how well they do. So if they get like 1,000 views, the company will give them like an extra $10, extra $15, being like, hey, good video. Here's an extra $10 just from us. Last up, we've got another incident that has happened that people have kind of spiraled out of control and just associated with the Envoys. And that was going to be the Envoys presumably leaking information to their alliance mates about reworks coming, new characters, all that kind of stuff. And this specifically happened when Pegasus was still under wraps, and we knew that Rescue was getting a rework, and obviously no one really had Rescue built because Rescue wasn't good since Power Armor, and you can argue Rescue was never good, even in Power Armor. So Run, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Well, this is kind of a tough one because I know there were instances when I found out about characters that were going to be reworked, and I hearted them on my roster because I didn't think anybody was paying any attention to my roster. And so I have since no longer do that. The thing is, when I heart something on my roster to build it up, I still have a lack of resources. The only difference is that knowing about this character being reworked, I may choose to work on that, the reworked character or the character that's going to be reworked differently from some other older luxury character that I would have been working on. And other people could do that too. So there's an advantage there where I might put my resources instead of some luxury pick. However, when it comes to leaking this to the public, this, like, Envoys have specifically been told you no longer heart these things in your roster because people are watching and they come up with ideas. So if you see Deadpool hearted on my roster, that's my own speculation, and I think that it's data mined that he's going to be built for the Mercs for Hire, Mercs for Money team or something like that. That's my own speculation. I'm risking my own resources and building it based on data mined information. But when it comes to Pegasus, there were a lot of people who were racing to build Rescue because Envoys leaked, the Pegasus team was coming out, or the Rescue was being reworked, and you started seeing people. There was a live streamer and his alliance mates, like down in the bottom of the screen, it showed the Pegasus, the Rescue is being upgraded rapidly. And at the time it was like, why would you ever upgrade Rescue?
Yep.
This is a garbage character. Okay. The thing is that live streamer had alliance mates who was in a different test server. And there are multiple test servers, not just the Envoy test server. And that information was definitely leaked out of, we call it the Kraken server. It may not even have been the Kraken server. We call it the Kraken server because there's big spenders who put a lot of money into this game, and they're catered to. And that's how the world works, by the way. If you spend a lot of money, you're going to get their notice. You're going to get to bend their ear from time to time. They're going to listen to you if you're dropping huge amounts of money on this game. And I think that's how it should go. The problem is I think that those people should be vetted if they're allowed into a test server that has information coming to the game, and that when leaks like that occur, they should be taken out of those test servers or have that test server closed down altogether, just like they would do with the Envoys when they catch us intentionally leaking things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that when it comes to knowing about these things and hearting a character on my roster or looking to invest in it, the advantage is negligible because I'm not gaining any more resources. I'm always desperate for gold or training mats or materials. This just gives me a few days warning on don't waste it on an older luxury tune because there is something that's coming out. But again, it's like, it's just the difference is negligible. But if you want to focus on the leak part, no, Envoys are not leaking this information to anybody. We get very upset when that information is leaked because it ruins our ability to make money for YouTube videos or stream live content when the embargoes lift, when everybody already knows about it. So we don't want that getting out. In fact, the Envoy server kind of sets itself on fire when we think someone in there is leaking. Later we find out it did not come from an Envoy server and we all kind of settle down. But it's very disruptful when a leak occurs from outside the server and we don't know who it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was a big one because it was, like you said, it was, looking down and you're like, why are people taking Rescue to G7, G18? Are these people, do they have just nothing else to, like, are they on another level of Kraken that they're like, oh, I got nothing else to build, screw it, I got extra tech gear, let's have fun. And you touched on a little fact about something that is called the Kraken server. I think it's like, its official name is like the engaged player server, which I find the use of the word engaged there comical. It's essentially people, like you said, who spend a lot of money on the game and they are catered to, just like you said, because that's how the world works. So they have a test server and it is actually separate from the Envoy test server. Fun fact. So they have access to things that we might have access to. I don't know the difference because I'm not in that test server, right? I know that the player voice movement has different access to information that we have. They have a lot of information ahead of time. that we're not made privy to because it doesn't benefit us content creation wise. Because honestly, if we know who's coming in 8 months, what the hell do we do with that other than get our video ready for 7 months and 30 days for it to come out? We don't know about it. So there's different groups who know different things. And it's not always the Envoys. It's pretty much never the Envoys leaking anything other than some very, very specific issues that happen. But it's not the Envoys. Most of the time when a leak happens, we're livid. Like the Celebrate code leaked early. And we were really mad about it. Like we were really, really, really unhappy about it.
Totally leaks more than anybody
Yeah,
else. Like,
absolutely.
there's social media, like we're always seeing, like the embargo lifts in 4 hours. You guys got your videos. Wait, what's this? And there's a posting from Facebook leaking the information 4 hours early, and we're like, WTF, this is garbage.
Yeah.
And we get so upset. That happens on a regular basis. And then there's, of course, data mines, which we have been trying desperately to try and get that under control, or maybe put fake data mines in there so that the trust level on the data mines plummets. Yeah, the Envoys get furious about it. And then, of course, the worst is when someone who isn't an Envoy gets insider information from a developer, from some other source within Scopely, and they go live with it, and we know it's accurate, but we're not allowed to talk.
Yep.
Like we know that this is a real thing, but we might see inaccuracies with what they're saying, and we can't correct them.
Yep.
There might be things that are truthful. We can't talk about. Like, we're not allowed to do anything with that information but sit on our thumbs and watch the community either being led astray or given information without enough information that they get upset. And it's very infuriating.
People don't really
Recently,
understand
we've been
that.
getting these notifications hours before something comes out.
Oh yeah.
And we're like, are you kidding me? Like the spotlight rate announcement that we had that hours
An hour and a
before it
half,
came out.
hour and a half, 2 hours,
And
I think. Yeah.
We were like, I'm not sure this is gonna go over very well when you release this little bit of information that shows no agency at all and no explanation of what's happening. And of course, that's exactly what happened. The community blew up over it. Everybody was up in arms over it. When really, if they would have waited to put that information out, like we said, or let us go over it, we could have helped them with the messaging on that so that people would understand what's happening. But instead, it bounced off of us an hour early with no opportunity to take our feedback. I don't even know why they bothered telling us.
I don't either.
Hours early. Even if they did want our feedback, there wasn't enough time to take our feedback on it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's going to be the 5 ways Envoys cheat that I see the most, most of the time in a Twitch chat that I see people talking about how we have unfair advantages. We have pretty similar opinions on some things, but differing opinions on others, which is good. Everybody's got their own opinion. I feel like, honestly, people blame Envoys for things that they don't understand a lot of the times, when leaks come from other places. Envoys withholding information. Again, I doubt that's the case. But, Run, do you have any closing thoughts before we sign off of this one?
I think that Envoys do technically have a slight advantage. I don't think it's anything drastic. I think the bottlenecks are still keeping everybody in place. It only allows us to keep from spending on a luxury that maybe we would want to put off had the public known more. They might spend on a luxury character and then realize, oh, I wish I would have saved that 10 million gold for this character that's coming out. That's possibly something that would happen, but that's bottlenecks. And honestly, if you want to avoid that, keep 30 million banked at all times, and then you never have to worry about it. Right? Then you can always pivot to whatever you want to, as long as you have 30 million banked, so that whenever you hear news, you can go, oh, well, it's cool. I still have 30 million banked. I'm just going to mentally put that towards this character that's coming out down the line. So I don't think it's that big a deal. And if you want to have the same unfair cheater advantages that Envoys do, get off your ass, get in front of a microphone, and start making content. I'm always encouraging more and more people to get out and stream and make videos on YouTube for MSF. It's a great hobby. It's really fun, and it's a wonderful community to get involved in. And it really doesn't take much effort these days to get yourself invited into the Envoy program. Just get serious about it, have a streaming schedule, and put out 1 or 2 videos a week on YouTube, and then give Lori a call, and I bet you'll get put on the list to become an Envoy as well. And if you don't want to put forth that effort to help out the rest of the community, then you don't deserve this super duper unfair cheater advantage, which I think is absolute garbage, because if you've ever seen me play Marvel Strike Force, this advantage is not helping me in the slightest.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like he said, you know, make content, get in front of a camera, become part of the Envoys, and see what it's really like. Because that's what I did because of this guy right over here. I started making content.
And if Duelam can do it, you can too.
I can't close the video off better than that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If we missed anything, let me know down in the comment section below. And I'd love to make a part 2 of this. If we get enough varying opinions, I would be more than happy to bring Run back on and do a part 2 of this, because I think this is a very polarizing topic.
I'd love to hear a serious accusation of cheating or unfair play, something that actually amounted to anything useful.
Yeah, I would love to see something that isn't negligible and has some legs, or something that we didn't talk about, or a side of the argument that we didn't talk about today on the 5 topics we talked about. So if you guys could do that one, then we'll make another a part 2 of this. But until next time, this has been Duelam and Run 7. Later, y'all.